Hello and welcome to Cannabis Marketing Live, all puff, no fluff. Today we're talking about email, and we're not just talking about email, but we're talking about the email tools that support the cannabis industry. And that includes hemp CBD, that includes all of it. I want to talk about tools today. We talk a lot about strategy and best practices and creating a brand and all of the things that go into it, but we haven't touched on tools for quite a while. So, what tools do you use to help with your email marketing? I know a lot of people are starting to use Klaviyo, which I've heard is a great, fantastic option for people in the CBD area. But the cannabis side, we tend to run into more problems. As soon as you start talking about THC and flower and tinctures and sales, it becomes a challenge, and I know that. In the past, I've recommended Active Campaign. I still love them. I still use them, but I found something new that I want to share with you guys today. So be sure and drop your comments and questions in as I'm going through. I can't wait to share this with you guys, and we are just going to have fun today because that's what it is. So here's the story. I mentioned that I have been recommending Active Campaign. I love it. I love the automations. It's easy to use. It's not as expensive as some of the other options. But I recently heard that they're not accepting THC companies anymore unless you jump through like 5 different hoops. Total bummer. I get it. So before I just came out and said, this isn't an option for us, I did some research. And it's exciting that I did, because in that research, I was able to get connected with a company called Flowdesk. Now, Flowdesk is in their beta stages. They're still relatively new, but they have beautiful templates. They have a ton of stuff. And I've actually been looking at starting to switch my email over. I haven't actually emailed out to my list in the last couple of weeks because I've been playing with the different email options. And I wanted to make sure I had this down and ready to share before I just jumped in and said, this one's not working anymore. Okay, so what did I do? I was able to get connected through a friend of mine, Ask Evie, the wonderful Ask Evie, over at askevie.com. She actually connected me with the person who's in charge of compliance over at Flowdesk. So not only do I know that they allow cannabis companies, but I actually spoke to the person whose job it is to review them all. And this is what she told me. She told me that when Flowdesk started, they knew it was important they really felt they wanted to help those of us in the cannabis and hemp CBD space because they've seen firsthand, based on their experience, all of the problems that we run into when we're just trying to do basic business. We're just trying to reach out and talk to people and do the exact same things that other businesses do, only we happen to use cannabis. And the federally legal, blah, 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 federally illegal pieces of that makes it more challenging. So this is what Flowdesk does. They allow and encourage cannabis companies to use their tools, to send emails about flower, about promotions, to do your everyday business with their tool. Okay? Not only that, the only thing that you have to make sure when you're using their email is that the business address, the address for your business, is in a state where cannabis is legal. If you're in a medical only state, you need to be doing medical only. If you're in any other state that's legal, your address has to be in a state that's legal. That is it. There's no limitations on what you can say, pictures you can use. They want to support our industry. And I, in turn, want to support them because of this. So I'm in the process of starting to research the tool. I'm going to be creating some videos on how to use it. But I put a couple slides together just in terms of how I'm approaching it. And I wanted to cover those. So first, there's a couple things, and I'm working on a blog post about this as well. There's a couple things about Flowdesk that I think is really important to consider. 1, they support our industry. 2, They have flat rate pricing. This means that if you get a link, you can get 50% off. That means your 50% off, you are paying $19 a month, no matter how big your list is, up to 250,000 people. If your list is over 250K, you need to talk to them about it. But until then, you're paying $19 a month. Now, my active campaign just renewed, and I can tell you, renewed right before I found Flowdesk, but I can tell you that it is not that price. ClickFunnels, all of those things are not that price. They all do different things, and keep in mind that Flowdesk is in the beta piece. There's a few things, the integrations aren't quite there yet. If you're a CBD company using Shopify, you can integrate, but some of the other pieces do require some Zapier or other things. I'll be talking about that as well as I go through it. But I put a couple slides together before we dive into actually the Flowdesk page and what that looks like. I put a couple things together just in terms of where you're at with email and to see what that can look like and what you should be considering when you're considering an email tool, or if you're considering changing your email tool. And if you are using MailChimp, you need to stop, because MailChimp hates our industry. Sorry, my mic's over here. MailChimp hates our industry, and they don't want anything to do with it, and their lawyers are difficult. And I've had problems with just like my financial services clients in MailChimp. So don't be using MailChimp. They have shut businesses down in our space. They will continue to shut businesses down. Don't take that chance and wait until it's too late. Please don't do that. I hate seeing those posts of people that lost their list or that lost stuff because they were using MailChimp, and they should not be. They should not be using MailChimp. Please don't do that. It hurts my heart. Okay, so email marketing. When we're talking about the cannabis and hemp CBD space, I'm looking over there because that's where I control my slides. I just put like 3 or 4 slides together. You can tell I'm in teacher mode. I'm currently teaching social media this month at San Diego State University, so I've got my slides to teach. We all know the purpose of email marketing. There's no surprises. It's more effective now than it has been in the past. People are paying attention more. You're going straight to the inbox. It puts you in charge of the relationship. As much as I like social media, as much as I like video, you want that connection with your audience. So if you're not doing email marketing, we need to talk, because you should be. Okay? So email marketing is to build that relationship with your customer or client, to help engage them, to create loyalty, build trust. It really goes a long way in helping you stand out. It helps build an emotional connection in ways that like video does as well, but it also gives you a closer relationship to your customers. And you can remind them. I get emails from Ease all the time. The amount of times I hear from the dispensary that's down the street from me is very few. They should have something set up that said, hey, you bought these edibles 2 months ago and they should be out by now. Please come back in. Come see us. But they don't do anything like that. There's no text. There's no emails. I know people are busy, but start building those relationships and start your email marketing. Okay? Now, if you're looking for a tool, there's some considerations that you want to take into account, right? Your integrations. What does it integrate with that you're using? What doesn't it? Can you fill in those gaps? Is it necessary, or is it easier to find a tool that will do everything for you? Those tools that do everything for you are obviously going to be more expensive than the $38, $19 a month if you reach out to me, and I'll send you the link and the code. So integrations. Another thing that I see on less people's lists, but they clearly haven't used email software that doesn't do automation and workflow well, is automation and workflow. There was a Constant Contact. Actually, I really like them, but I tried to set up some automations and I couldn't. Once someone was in an automation path going through, if they took an action, I could not take them out of that path. Other automation tools, if someone takes an action, you can take them over somewhere else. So if you're sending emails, this is important, Because if you're sending emails over and over and over and over and over, trying to get someone to buy something and they actually buy it, and then you keep sending them emails about buying it, you just look like an idiot. You need to be able to understand when someone purchases or takes an action, because then you can move them to an area or another space where they can actually be rewarded for taking that action. They should be getting thank you emails, not buy emails. Bye. So another selection criteria you want to consider, and this is less so because if people aren't doing it, they shouldn't be in business, but making sure that your mobile, that your emails look good on mobile, because most of us are looking at our phones a lot more. Make sure that you know how they're handling their responses and what happens there. The delivery, making sure that they have good delivery rates, and a lot of those that do are very strict about the list. So like other email vendors, Flowdesk is very specific in terms of where your leads came from, and making sure through all the GDPR and all of the other privacy stuff that's going on that you're paying attention and you're not just spamming people. So how it handles leads, what happens when people move through your funnel or what have you. So CRM, whether it integrates with a CRM or has CRM capabilities as part of it. Cost, so cost for your list, but also cost anticipating growth. That's another thing that you want to pay attention to. And then, does it support cannabis businesses? Guys, this should be your number one thing. Once again, I've already talked about MailChimp. I can go on a rant for quite a while, especially since it's made me take 8 hours to try and get my account back up because they thought that something was sent that wasn't. Don't get me started, y'all. I'm so upset I'm changing how I speak. It's awesome. Does it support cannabis business? There's so many that don't, so pay attention. I don't want to hear about stuff getting shut down because you weren't paying attention. We don't have to deal with that anymore. There's options for us now. So, what do you need to consider when switching platforms? Integration, what it integrates with, how the leads get into the system. So what are their forms look like? What do they have? How are you, so first of all, are you able to segment audiences? 2, how does that work? I love the tag system. Flowdesk doesn't have the tag system, but I love being able to tag people in my list with different things based on the actions that they take, based on where they came in, what they've requested. There's other tools that I've had to use that created lists. So you would segment them into lists, and Flowdesk works that way too. But what it would not do is take out anyone that was on any other list. So if you weren't careful, your email, people on your email list or in multiple groups could receive an email like 4 or 5 times. It was crazy, especially since that shouldn't be how it's set up. So it was frustrating to assume that, to learn what I assumed was not really happening, but that only happened once. Once again, I mentioned automation workflows. Some people and some companies don't set up automation in a way that makes sense based on action. They set it up based on what you as the marketer or business owner feel like should happen, not the most usable way to do it. And then the templates, what do they look like? What do they have? Do you have to purchase them? Are they free? What can you use? How much flexibility do you have? Is it drag and drop? All of the things that go along there. So those are the considerations that you want. And then I just want to mention one more thing on segmentation. So this is getting from 10,000 feet down to 2,000 feet right now. But it's really, really important to segment your audience. And I will go into this in depth a little later. But it's really important to segment your audience in a way that's going to make sense. So I mentioned that I love the tagging system. When I started to look at Flowdesk, I actually mapped out some of the stuff before I even, and you'll see because my account's empty right now, before I even really started using it and playing around with it, because I want to make sure that what I have is going to work for me and how I'm organizing information. So being the nerd that I am, I watched several videos in terms of how other people are segmenting their email list. And some of it was interesting, some of it was off base, because they were organizing their email system based on the information that they had So what type of information was being requested, what people were doing. Personally, I want to know who's paying me. So I want to know who's just interested in kind of stalking or paying attention. I want to know who is requesting information. I want to know who's on a wait list. And then I also want to know who's paid and who are customers. There's a few more on here that aren't listed. So I have partners as another segment because there's people that I partner with. This whole community that we have is so important. And there's so many people that I partner with that I think it's important to acknowledge, but they won't necessarily ever be a customer. That's how we're all stronger, is when we're working together. So it's important for me to consider partners. And then I have another section called topics, and I'll show you this in a minute how I broke it out. Because not only it's nice to know that someone's interested in requesting general information, or if I have, I have my brand motivate plan for regulated industries. If someone came in from that, it's not necessarily someone who's going to want to work with me today, but they would go under interest or connect in this way that they wanted to connect. But I would also put a topic down in terms of they're interested in marketing for regulated industries. It doesn't need to be more complicated than that. There's a lot of ways that this can become more complicated, but for me, I applied the funnel focus of it because I wanted to be able to say, where are they in our connections with me? So this was a way that I'm segmenting my audience that made more sense. And trust me, I mapped it out on my whiteboard like 4 times, trying to figure out like if what other people were doing was logical to me and how I run my business. And I ended up kind of combining several, including the base of what I'm already doing. So that said, I'm going to dive in because I think that Flowdesk is a really exciting find. I am very excited about being able to use it and start playing around with it. I've jumped in it a couple times. You're going to see my account's very empty because I haven't moved any lists over. I was waiting to do this and see all of you guys because I didn't want to be showing people's personal information and email addresses on live video. So let's see here. I've got all my desktop set up. Yes. Okay. I love it when it works when I'm live versus all the challenges I've had sometimes when I have a guest. So I'm sharing Flowdesk over here. You can see my browser. You can see my mouse. You can scroll down. The templates are gorgeous. If I haven't mentioned this already, Flowdesk is owned by 2 women. So it's a women-based business that is excited about the cannabis industry. Boom. Okay, I've got to log in over here. Let's see here. Sometimes my hello login. All right, perfect. So it went straight to my email. So I have my browser condensed a little bit so that way you guys can see it. So if you see me like navigating around, that's why. It's because it's not showing the full bar. Let me get rid of this. Oops. We're just going to close that for this domain. Okay. So you can see the emails and the folders. I was just playing around with the template, but what I want to start with is the audience. So when you go into Flowdesk, you can actually go under your brand. Let's start there. You can go under your brand, and under setup, you can actually add really easily. You can add your brand information. I was able to add my logos, my social media connections, my brand colors, connecting Instagram. Like, it gives you a chance to easily add everything so you're not constantly customizing all or adding it and doing it on the fly every single time. I love it when tools make that easier for us, so it's less for us to do. So then I went in and I started to look at what are my subscribers, which, right, I haven't loaded any there yet. But then I started to look at the segments. So this was that last slide that I showed in terms of what is available when you're starting to organize email. And like I said, I'll do a video that goes into a deeper dive than this, but you can see, sorry, it's moving around. You can see that I have whether or not, so I have them organized by topic. Let me sort by, my computer is being weird today. can't go live without any tech issues, can you? So there's all subscribers, and then you can see, like, I took that same segments and said, okay, here are the clients, and here's the type of clients, whether they were part of the holiday intensive, whether they were part of an intro offer, whether they're a consulting client, and I'm working with them one-on-one, or if they're part of my upcoming CBD marketing lab, Motivate Your Market, which will be launching early next year. If they're in a prospect mode, hang on a second. Let's just refresh this page so it looks good. Keep in mind this isn't the website, it's my computer. So if it was a hot prospect, if they showed interest in the holiday marketing intensive, or if they scheduled a discovery call to learn more, I have Connect, which is the same as interest. So if they were in a newsletter, if they were at one of the speaking events, like when I spoke at Leap Into Live for eCam, just a little bit more organization, so that way I know how they're getting there. And then having the category, if it was Connect, a hot prospect, or a client, or a partner, helps me keep things organized. And then another way to organize it also is by topic. So I created several topics based on what they can do. Sorry, just refresh that because it was being weird. So topics for products and things that I'm creating, topics based on what people are interested in. So whether it's social media, cannabis, tools and resources like this one, or specifically video marketing or CBD, hemp CBD versus cannabis. So there's more topics and there's more building out that I need to do, but this was my starting point in terms of organizing my list in a new tool to be able to make sure that I always knew what people were interested in, what actions they've taken. So if they've downloaded, what they've downloaded, and I create a different segment for each type of product that I have, or each thing that is an option. And then the other thing is also if they're client or partner, and what they're client or partner of. So that way when I create emails and I create lists and things, it's relevant to them. No one wants to receive emails and content, no matter what content it is, that's not relevant to them. So then you can go into workflows and you can start creating your workflows. I don't have any created yet because I was just working on my segments, but you can add triggers and add sequences. So this would, if you were going to do I was pretending I was creating a welcome sequence, which I've actually been working on. So if you sign up for my list in a week or two, it will be there. So you put the welcome email and then you wait X number of days. You can change that and make whatever edits you want to and change it to a period of time, like whatever that time delay is, a couple hours, days, weeks, what have you. All of that you can do. So then you can create a really nice flow that goes through exactly what's there. And if we open up one of their templates, I'm sorry, this is totally too many things open. If you look at, will it show it if I scroll? I love learning things live. So let's see here. If I open up it as the page as wide as it's supposed to be. The trick is that it's now covering you guys. I can change different content. I can change different aspects of it. I can add images, change that font from that scripty font, but it gives me a chance to look at all the different things. But you can also, I'm not publishing this yet. You can also go back over and you can actually, if we go into templates or emails, you can actually see what templates are available. And so you can actually find things, like find templates that go with your look and then customize them so that it matches your brand. We've had a lot of designers and brand experts on the show lately who've talked about, whether it was Annette from Easel or some of the other people who've talked a lot about what their brands look like and what it can look like. And so you want to make sure you're customizing images, colors, fonts, all of the different things to make sure it is consistent with what you're doing. But let's say we open up one. Let's open up this one. She looks so loungy and relaxed, although the way she's sitting does not look relaxing. So you can use the template, you can see what it looks like for mobile, you can see right away what it looks like. You guys, I cannot wait to get in here and start playing more with this tool. I think that Flowdesk is going to be a great option for those of us in the cannabis and CBD space. Like I said, I'm building out a blog post on how to use it and how to get started. But the benefits right off the bat are flat rate pricing, women owned, and they really, really, really want to support the cannabis space. And who doesn't love that? So they're making our lives easier. Like I said, there's some integrations and some things that I'm gonna have to figure out, and I will share that with you as I figure it out. But at the first look of the tool, I'm already signing up, paying for it, and starting to play with it. Can't recommend it enough, and we'll keep going to see what else we find. But that's the cool tool today. Women-owned business that likes the cannabis space. That's only $19 a month. $19 a month. So take care, you guys. I'll be back. Let's see, we're getting close to the holidays. So the third Thursday of the month, and then after this year is over, the dumpster fire that it is, the show's going to be coming back in January, stronger and better than ever. And it will actually be on Tuesdays instead of Thursdays. So it'll be on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. I have to move the dates around a little bit, so we'll see how Tuesday works and use that for a while before we see if we need to move it again. But let's mix things up in 2021. All right, you guys, take care and enjoy your week. I'll talk to you later. Bye.